Hello everyone, a very warm welcome back to the MEC-TEC garage. The most messy MEC-TEC garage it has been for a long while, and he really needs to have a massive clear up in here. As you would have seen from the end of my last video, if you saw that on the workshop, I have been away in Canada for about 10 days. It was a mega trip and I'm back now to the disaster that is the Reliant engine. Now, this is a job I've been absolutely dreading. I need to take all this back apart again and get it down to its component pieces so we can rebuild it in that block which you can't see just underneath the camera there. So without further ado, we need to crack on, get this engine and box back out the chassis. I'm then going to move the chassis back underneath the body as far as I can, so we've got a bit of room to work and get this thing back down to its component parts. Now before I go anywhere else, I have noticed that 65% of my viewers aren't subscribed. So if you do like projects like this, cars, workshop, all that sort of thing, hit the subscribe button for me. It would really help me out. I really appreciate it. That would be absolutely mega. So let's not waffle on, let's crack on, get this engine and box back out, get it stripped down. Right, we have an engine in a gap, very small gap in the middle of the garage. And I've set up this board so I can try and stay semi-organised. As you can see, I've actually written on there what nuts and bolts go with what, so that I don't get confused when I come to put it all back together. So next step now, I'm going to get the starter motor off and the gearbox off. That will just leave me with the engine in to concentrate on, and I'm just going to keep taking bits off until there are no more bits to take off, and then we'll be back down to exactly where we started again. Let's carry on. Rightio, we are down to the block itself as such now. Now next thing I'm going to take off is the head. I'm not going to take off all the exhaust manifold and inlet manifold because that can stay on there. It came off before when I took the head off previously, so that is our, that's not our Menke stud, but that one wasn't even tight because I didn't get to talking that one, so nor did I get to that one either. So some of these are going to be loose, some of them are going to be tight because obviously when I was torquing them down I got to that one that was no good, and obviously stopped there. Probably should have undone it straight away really, but never mind. Hopefully it'll be alright. So we'll get this off in one lump. That'll be a big thing out the way. Unfortunately, my electric ratchet has gone wrong yet again. I'm not been a lot of luck with that, to be honest with you, which is why I'm using manual tools, because it's actually back now. It's actually at my dad's, so I'm getting that tomorrow. So yeah, that is a bit of a pain, but there we go. So manual tools it is for the moment. So I'm going to get this head off. My parts board I've set up is filling up nicely, so, well, I don't know whether nicely is the right word, but it's filling up, so we're going in the right direction. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get with this today. I'm hoping I'm going to get it all fully stripped down, at least in this video. Whether we get to rebuilding it or not, or starting rebuilding it or not in this video, I don't know. Been hard to get back into the swing of things after coming back from Canada, because bit of jet lag, and you know what it's like, holiday vibes and all the rest of it. You don't want to do nothing when you get back. And I'm not usually a massive holiday person, but I did quite enjoy this one, I have to say. Mrs. MEC-TEC's got some family over there, as you would have seen from one of the pictures. I had a drive of a Toyota 4Runner. I think it was a 1986 Toyota 4Runner. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen the picture of that. That was a 4-cylinder manual, which is quite unusual. Usually they're, well, the later ones that we had in the UK, or at least that were imported to the UK from Japan, were a V6 auto. But this one was a 4-cylinder manual. And it's had a fair bit of work done to it by Gary, which is Mrs. MEC-TEC's cousin. He's had a bit of frame welding done on it, and he totally rebuilt the engine. Cost him a fortune, so that's all good. So yeah, he's just doing bits and bobs to it and enjoying it really. He calls it his ice cream car. He goes out to get ice cream in it. And obviously with that sort of bikini top on the back of it, you can take the top off and have a convertible effectively with 4 seats, which is kind of cool because he's got a couple of kids, so it's really good. Yeah. I'm hoping to get, I was hoping that this was going to be the first build in the new workshop, this engine, but the workshop is taking its time, unfortunately. So I thought, well, rather than keep on with that all the time and getting everyone to get bored with it and I'll get bored with it, I'll have a go at this and see if I can get this on the move again, because it's one of them jobs. I've said it before, I hate doing things twice, and especially when it's a job like this, you definitely don't want to be doing it twice. So it's bittersweet this really. I'm getting it done, but I don't really want to get it done, if that makes sense. There we go, it is what it is. My old mate Dan's had a few issues with his engine as well, which found he'd got a spare engine, and that had exactly the same rot in it as the spare one that I had, which is obviously a common place for him to go. And then he looked at the one that we put in his van itself, which is running fine, and it's got a very slight weep, so he's going to have to keep an eye on that, apart from a little bit of corrosion in the block. So it does seem that these engines are prone to it. Now my new engine, or new block I should say, I got from good old Steve at Dinky Cars. He's not far from me. Phoned him up and I said, "You ain't got a spare engine block by any chance, have you?" He said, "I've got one. I was going to use it to build." I said, "Don't want to sell it, do you?" He said, "Yeah, I'll sell it to you." I said, "How much?" He said, 100 quid. I said, "Done." Well, I ain't going to mess around. For the sake of 100 quid, I'll have that, and it's got all the long head studs still in it intact, which means that they should all be in good condition. They haven't been touched, so they're in there, and that's it. And these are the shorter ones putting back in, but I've got those obviously out of this, and they're only just inside the top of the block, so that should be fine. Right, this should, a bit of luck, lift off again for the umpteenth time. Try and pull it up level. Come on, it's nearly there. Gets a bit caught on the studs. Now you would have seen in the time lapse as well, I did put the sump back on only with a couple of bolts temporarily, just because I didn't want to crush the oil cooler. Sorry, not the oil cooler, the oil pickup I should say. So that is just protecting that for the minute. Why is this not coming off? I bet I've pulled it off wonky, I? Yeah, I have. Come on, you have to pull these off bang on straight, or else I don't like it. It's getting caught on the threads at the very top. There it is. Right, there's our head off. Put that over there, out of the way. Like that. All the bolts for that. Trying my best, strange as it may seem, to stay organised with this. So although I know what they are now, I'm writing next to them what they are, because if I leave this a couple of days and they get knocked about, I don't know where they go. So that's that. Right, I think what I'm going to do now is get the rest of the ancillaries off the engine, distributor, alternator, water pump, all that carry on, basically everything off the outside, and then we can flip it over, get the sump off and get the internals out. Now the only thing that's worrying me is these liners, because obviously I glued or stuck them in. In theory, because they've not been in there very long, they should come undone again with a little bit of persuasion from a hammer and a block of wood. That's what I'm hoping. And while I remember, am I going to be able to get those out? No, I'm not. I need to get the lifters out, but I can't get to them at the moment because they're, oh, I might be able to. Anyway, I'm going to carry on stripping this down. I thought I'd just cut in there just to, so it wasn't all time lapse. Yeah, let's carry on and get this done. Rightio, that is the outside of the engine stripped as far as I can tell. So now I'm going to flip it over, probably get coolant everywhere again because it keeps dripping out of everywhere, and we need to get the sump off and then we can get all the internals out. So I'm going to flip it right over, all the mank everywhere. Yep, I knew that was going to happen. Put cloths there. These aren't that stable when they're up like that. I might have to get a block of wood or something to go underneath it. I've got an old car battery, that'll do. A bit of support. There we go. Right. Okay, get these two sump bolts back out because obviously I only put them in there just temporarily. That will then release our sump. Put those in the right pile over there. Something just flew off, don't know what that was. You'll never see that again. It's just going to give us a little white, it's a bit covered in mank where it's been sitting in a pile of, not pile, but a puddle of antifreeze and what have you. Right, so sump's off. I'm trying to remember, over there, I'm trying to remember what comes out first. And obviously the oil pickup's got to come off first by the looks of it, because that's the way it's got to come out, because it's on the top there. We'll get that off. It's just held in with two 1/2" bolts. Pretty easy to get that out. Did not think I was going to be doing this again, I know that for sure. Well, there we go, such is life, I guess. Now, I'm in a quandary. Maybe you guys can help me out. I don't know which car to keep out of the C1 or the Fiesta. Or something else completely different, which I'll mention in another video. But out of those two, just curious to know what your opinions are. What would you keep, the C1 or the Fiesta? The sensible money would be on the Fiesta because it's got everything on it. But that little C1, it's kind of, yeah, look at that, gross. It's kind of grown on me so much. Such a cool little car. I don't know whether I'm doing the right thing or not getting rid of it. But having said that, it was only bought as a cheap run around for sort of certain period of time, you know, so I suppose there's two ways of looking at it really. But as I say, there is a third option which may come to fruition, we'll see. In which case they both got to go. If the third option doesn't come up, then I'm curious to know which one you would keep out of the two. Having spent a lot of time and effort on the C1, it's kind of, I'm finding it kind of difficult to choose, you know. Right, now the next thing we've got to take off on this internal of this engine is this blooming sump gasket, because underneath here, in fact no, I've got to take the rear main cover off, and then underneath here there are two plates which are held in, if I remember rightly, with massive Phillips screws. So I'm going to need a scraper of some sort to get this, at least the end parts of this. I might be able to just pull it off, because I'm waffling, let me see if I can get to them. Yeah, the Phillips head screws are underneath here, there's one of them. I might be able to get away with just, I've got a knife there, let's use that. Might be able to get away with just getting the bits off I need for now, and I'll clean it all up off camera so we're not faffing around too much. Also got to go and find, actually no, I'll probably use a socket. I was going to say I've got to go and find a giant Phillips screwdriver, but I've got a large Phillips on a socket which I can use. I know I probably shouldn't be using a knife, but as this block is going to scrap, it doesn't really matter. Right, there's those two Phillips revealed. Find the other ones now. They're under there. And one. Wonder what the price of aluminium is now. Got a few blocks I can scrap here, might have a few quid. Be handy. Clear the garage out as well. Right, let's grab a big Phillips. I need a cloth again to wipe my hands on. This is so manky inside. Right. That one there. Hopefully these won't fight me too much. Now, I need to take that cover off first actually, because there's 2 bolts on this rear cover that go through that plate. So we'll whip that off. Now I have got a complete new engine gasket set for this again. Whether I need all of them or not, I don't know, but I thought, well, I'd rather have them than not, because the last thing I want to do is get halfway through rebuilding an engine and not have the right gaskets. So I've erred on the side of caution and bought a new set, and I'm going to make sure this time that that head gasket, whether it caused the issue last time, I don't know, but whether that, I want to make sure that head gasket fits over the studs without any resistance. So if it means opening up the holes slightly around the studs, I will. I don't want to be in the same position as last time where it was a little bit tight going on, and that could have affected it. I don't know if it did or not, but that was suggested to me that could have affected it. So let's give this a little tap. No, that didn't want to know. Okay, let's try there. Now I glued this on thinking that won't ever have to come off again. How wrong I was. Just need to find a little area I can get into. So there we go. Little lever. Don't want to damage the alley, you see. Right, should winkle off of there now. There we go. Now I bought, obviously in the new kit is a new one of these rear main seals, but obviously I replaced it before, so I don't really need to change it again. I just need to change the gasket on the housing. Right, so that's that off. Now I can change over to my big Phillips head socket, and hopefully these will come undone. That's one. There's 2. There's 3. And there's 4. Lovely. Didn't put up too much of a fight, which is good. So once I've got these off, I can undo the bearing caps off the pistons. Slide those out the other end, because obviously I'm sitting on the I'm sitting on the head stud, so I'm up in the air, so I can slide the pistons out from the bottom with it where it is now. Then I can undo the main bearing caps, and then the crankshaft can come out, and that is that assembly out. And then after that, you need to knock a little pin out the side of the oil pump drive, which will allow that to split in half, and then that, once that's out, then that allows the camshaft to slide out. Now I don't know whether my new block's got good cam bearings in it or not. Did change them in this one. Whether I'll be able to get away with taking them back out again and redoing it again, I don't know. This is new ground for me as such. Right, that's that one. Put new cork pieces in the side there, so I'm hoping they'll be in the new set again. I don't want to reuse those because I want to leak. Right, there's our 2 end pieces out. Now some of these bolts on this bit of wood I'm not marking, because I can put them inside the item they go with, if that makes sense. So I don't need to write it down as well. But some of them I am, some of them I'm not. So, right, let's, I've got to knock these locking tabs back down again, because obviously I put all new locking tabs on. It doesn't take too much to, just got to get under them right to make them move. Crank's moving around as I'm doing it. Some of these I used 2 sides of the tab because they lined up with the head of the bolt, and the other ones I only used 1. So some are going to be a bit easier than others. It might be actually that I can just undo those and it'll just twist them out. Let's see. I have knocked that one down. That one's coming down alright. Now, also you want to make sure when I do this that I keep the correct piston caps with the correct pistons, otherwise they have a whole world of pain because they match each other, if that makes sense. They've got, when they're made, they match each other. So that's the first one out. No damage on that bearing, so that's good. Water and oil everywhere mixing, but still. Right, that's that one out. Let's use a little. This is a. There we go. Should just fall out. Yep. There's our first piston out with all the new rings I put on. I'm going to put that back together for now, just so I know which one goes with what. And you can line up the casting as well, so that you know which one, because the castings are different. They're flat and ground on one side and not on the other. So and then on we go. Let's hope they all come undone like that. Now that one I haven't touched the locking tab on, so let's do that. That wouldn't undo then, so it proves those locking tabs do work. You just have to sort of weaken them slightly sideways like that, and then they should let go. There we go. See? Doesn't take a lot, but it's enough obviously when it's done up to not allow them to come undone, which is obviously what you want. This week I was umming and ahhing what to do for a video because, as I said before, with a bit of jet lag and whatever else, I've not had the most time to be able to do anything, but I thought, well, try and go in with a come back to the car video as such rather than a workshop video. There we go, there's piston number 2. Bit of mank on it, but I think that was off the floor. Some of these I haven't even, oh yes I have. Didn't think I'd knocked the tab over on that then, but I had. I thought I checked them all before I put it together, because obviously I didn't want it to go wrong. I've got all new ones of these in the kit, these little locking tabs, so I won't have to reuse them again, which is nice. Mrs. MEC-TEC's just pulled up. Right, I'm going to get these other 2 pistons out and I'll come back to you once I'm onto the crankshaft. Right, I've got the other 2 pistons out. The end one, this one, is fine. This one, which I would assume would be number 2, because that's the front of the engine. Big hair in there. It's got a massive score around it. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. Both sides. I don't know why. And it's really deep as well. It's almost like something's got in the oil and scored it all up in there. The crankshaft's got a little line in it, but nothing compared to these. So I'm not really sure why that's happened, but it looks like I'm going to have to replace those shells again, or at least these 2, which is not good. So yeah, that's not ideal. So I found that, which is, I suppose it's better to find it now than find it when I'm driving up the road and the engine goes bang. that's our 4 pistons out anyway. Next is going to be the crankshaft. Let's hope these aren't scored anywhere. Oh, that's tight. Undo these a little bit in each of them, so that it doesn't put undue pressure on anything. I'm a bit concerned as to why that crankshaft's done that, but there we go. Or rather, I should say bearing shell's done that. It has got a score in that. I may have to go over that with some emery paper to smooth it out again. Don't really want to go down the route of having it reground. Right. Get this out, and then need to get a block of wood and see if these liners pop back out again, which is what I'm hoping they will. Because if they don't, they're not a cheap part to get again. They're about 300 quid for a set of those, so which is not ideal. We've already spent umpteen amounts of pounds on this engine and they've got to rebuild it again. These should just lift out because they're all oily. I can't get a grip on them. There we go. There's one, and you see it says R on it for rear. This one says C on it for centre, and the other one says F on it for front. So they can't go in the wrong place as such. So I hope these are all right. So far so good. They look okay. Come on. Yeah, main bearings look okay, so that's good. And that should lift out now. That little spacer just went somewhere. I'll find that in a minute. There's another one there. Yeah, main bearings look just fine, so that's good. There's only that one piston that's got a score in it. I don't know why. Which is a little bit concerning, to say the least. Right, let's. I'm going to go and find a block of wood, and I'll come back to you and we'll see if we can pop these liners out. Right, let's see if these knock out as I'm hoping they will. Block of wood. I'm hoping these are just going to pop out. Yes, one. 2. 3. 4. Yes, lovely. That went better than I expected. And there's our liners. Looking really manky actually, considering they've only been in there for not very long. Where's that one stuck? I'm going to mark these so that I know where they go. Don't want to put them back in different locations to where they've been, if that makes sense. There we go. Right, I'm going to give those a clean up. I'll get them marked so I know which way they go in the engine, and then we should be good to put them in the new one. Top banana. Rightio, with the liners now out, which was a job I was dreading, not going to lie. We've got to knock the pin out of this side of this oil pump drive, which hopefully should knock out fairly easily. He says. Like that. It's just a little roll pin that's in there. Get that all the way out. That then allows the oil pump drive shaft that goes through there to split in two. Not split in two, but this, you'll see what I mean. Take that pin out of there, if I can get it out. Last little bit, it's not coming out. There it goes. Where's that gone? It's right. So that then allows this section to lift off. With a little bit of persuasion. Like that. And then, because you've taken that bottom bit off, then that then allows that to go all the way through and come out the other side. Like that. And as you can see, that is the bit that interlocks with the camshaft there. So I'll put that back on there for now for safekeeping, and maybe put the roll pin in there as well, just so it's with it, sticking out of one side at least, so that at least it's there, like that. Give that a wipe because it's manky. And then, in theory, a camshaft should just come out the front there, because I took the locking plate off of it when we was at the very beginning of taking all this apart. There we go, one camshaft out. And then the only thing we've got left to push out then is the lifters, which are obviously now revealed by taking that camshaft out. Just giving this a little wipe as I go along so I don't get everything covered in oil. I've actually run out of space on my board now, so alright, let's put these through. These weren't specific to this camshaft originally, so I'm not too worried about what order they go back in, because they didn't go in an order to start with. They're all nice and free, so that's good. There we go. Oh, hit the camera. There's our lifters out. Should have 8 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, lovely. I think that is the engine stripped down. All the bits I need off of it anyway. Obviously I'm going to keep this block around to make sure that I've got everything I need off of it whilst I'm rebuilding the new one, so that would be daft not to. I've already cleaned the new block. Let me put these lifters down. I'll grab the camera and I'll show you. Rightio, this is our new block that we've got to work with. As you can see, it's got all the deep studs still in it. It needs the shallow studs putting in, which I can take out of the other block over there. That's a pretty easy job to do, so I can sort that out. It's been painted already by Steve. Run this number. This engine is from 1980. I'm just looking at see what. So it is a slightly later one than my old engine, or my one that I built, I should say. But most importantly, it hasn't got any rot in the ends. These bits, as it seems to be the bits that go. It's particularly this end, and this one is. If I give that a little wipe, you can see no signs of corrosion on the outside, and also most importantly no signs of corrosion on the inside. It is nice and clean in there. I had a good look at that inside there. I know you can't see it very well on camera, but it is all nice and clean and there isn't any rot, so that's good. There's only a couple of little specks of rot inside around, little bits and bobs, but the new liner should seal in there no problem at all. I think that's going to be my first job on this. I'm going to get those glued in, or sealed in I should say, so they can be going off, and leave them for a couple of days overnight or whatever, to make sure that they're in there and they're not going to start popping out or anything like that. I've had a little look at the camshaft bearings on this. Where is it? In here, and they are a little bit chived up. So what I want to do, I think, is I'm going to take my new ones out of that block, see how they come out. If they come out okay, I'll swap them over with these ones, because I know that obviously my ones are new. assuming they come out okay, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So hopefully that will work out all right. The only thing we're changing the camshaft bearing is I would have to change this, plug this in, but that has got a little bit of corrosion around it anyway, so that's not too much of an issue really. This block has come with the main bearing caps. Now I'm inclined to keep those with the engine, because I know when Dan sold an engine block for the DeLorean, he sold it to a friend of ours to build over in Ireland, and it turns out they were specific to the block. So I think I'll keep these with the block and swap the shells over, just so I know that these are the ones that came off this engine originally. Hopefully they should all match all right and we won't have any problems with it binding or anything like that. As you can see, it's pretty clean inside there. I have given it a wash, and also I'll just give it a bit of brake cleaner in there as well. It's not quite as clean as my old one, but I did spend a real long time cleaning the inside of that, probably not really needed. So I'm just going to go with this as it is. It looks fine, as long as there's no major big bits of metal floating about, which there aren't. We should be absolutely fine. The next thing I need to do is sort out that piston main bearing, big end bearing I should say, because there's something definitely not right with that, because it's got a big score in it. So yeah, that is the engine stripped down back to its component parts again. Something I wasn't expecting to do, but anyway, we've done it now, so that's the main thing. We are on the rebuild side of things now, which is really good. So there we go, top banana. Right then, I think that is a good place to stop on the engine. It is in its component parts now, as you would have just seen. I need to sort out that big end bearing, the one that's scored. I don't know why it's done that on one. So I need to have a look at that and see what the culprit for that is, and see if I can find out why it's doing it, and probably get a new bearing for that shell as well. Don't really want to buy a new set just for one, but I may have to, because I would have thought you can't buy them on their own. So it's one of those things. Next step is going to be to get those liners glued back into the new block. We'll do that in the beginning of the next video. I apologise, this video is probably a bit shorter than usual. I've had a bit of a funny week as far as timings and everything else. As I've said previously, jet lag does funny things to you, and I've been trying to go back to work and all the rest of it, so I've struggled to get sort of on my feet as far as getting in the garage and doing stuff. So at least we've got that started. I want to try and get it back together as quick as possible, so I don't forget how it goes. And obviously to get it back together and get the van body and everything back on as well. So that should be hopefully in the not too distant future with any luck. Now remember, if you do like projects like this, cars, three-wheel vans, all the menagerie that's on the channel, make sure you look at my back catalogue. There's well over 100 videos now. Make sure you do 4 things for me: like, subscribe, share and hit the notification bell. It's all free, costs you nothing, and it really helps me on the channel, and I really do appreciate it. So if you could do that for me, that would be absolutely superb. Remember, I've got Instagram MEC_TEC1985, and I have got Facebook MEC-TEC for little sneak peeks during the week of what I'm up to. And all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching, and if you want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, I'll see you again next time. Cheers guys.